How many juniors?
So we did that, but they're not doing Okay, we're warming up, guys, so come and join us. Hey, I know not everyone could make the Zoom on Wednesday. I'm so sorry about the Zoom, that was such a nuisance. You know, when I couldn't wait for any answers. Oh yeah, please make sure you're socially distanced, guys. Up and round. Move together. I didn't bring that one together. Just a little bit of one. Starts at 7. Yeah. It's starting now. You bouncing either?
The front call, are we all right? The front call?
Say it again, Rob.
The front call?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, shoulder circles. Other way. And breathing in and a big yawn. And a big puff. And can we do hamsters and ooze, breathing in? Breathe in again and out. Breathing in and out. Breathe in and out, and with a lovely hum, any note, breathing in. Great, low tone, side tone. There we are.
Okay, so welcome to Newport Cathedral for our Mind concert. Not quite the concert that we normally have, but it's shaping up quite well. We've got quite a few people coming in, so it may be up to the standard we usually expect. And I know the singing will be up to a standard. So welcome to everybody. We're going to enjoy, there's I was going to say a menu then. There's an order of the concert this evening, and we're going to have some poetry and some singing, and we expect you to join in with some of the singing. So when you're singing, you need to keep your mask on in the audience, but the choir can take their masks off to sing. So I'm sorry we need to sing with our masks on. I think in my case that's probably for the best. The toilets are, the toilet downstairs is a unisex toilet. It's the only one we're allowed to use at the moment. And you go down the stairs through that door and right to the end of the corridor. We have safeguarding rules. I don't think we've got any children in, but just in case, children must be accompanied by an adult when they go to the toilet. Please wear your mask at all times unless you're exempt, even when you're sitting down. And please don't move the seats. There's lots of don'ts today, sorry. What we do want you to do is to shop at the stalls and to support our raffles, because you've come in for nothing, but there's a raffle tonight, which is a smaller one, a cash raffle, and then there's one online. Have people seen the one online with some bigger prizes? You haven't? I think maybe Joe will be able to help you at the back if you're wanting to join the one online. There's an afternoon tea and a print, an original print of the Transporter Bridge, and lots of prizes. And tonight is a different set of prizes with which you buy a ticket for this evening. So I hope you'll support us. Also, the Cathedral shop is open for souvenirs and birthday cards and things in the shop there. I think that's all. I'm going to come up and introduce the separate bits, although there isn't much to introduce tonight. But we're now going to welcome Dave Bland, the CEO, who's going to tell us about the last year or two. since we last had a concert.
Excuse me. The first thing I'd like just to say is welcome to everybody. This is really difficult. I just started using, well, not just started, I've had glasses for a while, but so putting them on, I can read, but I can't see anything out there. It's a bit weird. Anyway, so the first thing I'd like to say is welcome to everybody for turning up tonight. It is 2 years since we last had a concert for very obvious reasons, and those 2 years have been eventful to say the least. I'm not going to talk about that because I think we've all had our own experiences through the last 2 years, particularly of the COVID pandemic. So I'm just going to talk briefly about what has happened for Newport Mind. The first thing that I really want to say is that I owe a massive debt of gratitude to the staff, volunteers and service users in Newport Mind. Just because when the pandemic hit, the response from everybody, all those groups, service users, volunteers and staff, was exceptional. Within a very short period of time, we had all our services online. We were reaching out to people, we were looking at different ways of doing stuff. We were trying to make sure we connected with anyone who had been using our services. We were trying all we could to make sure we continue to offer support. I don't think we got it 100% right all of the time, but I think we did a really good job to begin with, and I think we've continued to do that good job over the last 18 months. So massive thank you to all the people who helped with that, and the adjustments that everybody had to make in terms of dealing with each other in different ways, using technology, getting used to a whole raft of changing rules and regulations. So thank you to everybody for that. Just in terms of some things that we've done in the last 18 months really, and some of these I think are quite impressive given the circumstances. We've started a new project which we started in the midst of the pandemic. We started it, it's a comic relief funded project. It's £500,000 for 3 and a bit years, working with young people, particularly young people from the LGBTQ plus communities and Black and Asian minority ethnic communities, and also for people in PIL. So it's a very focused project. We recruited all the staff for that virtually, so it was quite an interesting experience having interviews with people who you could see on screen and making decisions about their ability to do the job, and then them starting working basically on screen using computers, working virtually. But that project has grown from strength to strength. Fortunately, it hasn't all been on screen, so we've managed some in-person stuff with young people, visits with families and group work. In the same period, our wellbeing ambassadors, who are 16 to 25-year-old volunteers who work with Newport Mind and support us with all our projects and can help us co-produce things and really give us their opinion about lots of what we do. But they have devised, set up and have started delivering a training course for professionals, which is young people trying to teach professionals how to work with young people. So it's a really insightful course because it comes from their experience, and that is going out to professionals, and they've delivered, I think, 2 so far. We've had a detached outreach youth project, the first outreach youth project we've been involved with, the Community Youth Project, which has been working with young people in their communities on the street, out in communities, and that has managed to do some really good work and some really good numbers of engagements with young people and getting them to think about their own mental health and mental well-being. We've set up a new family wellbeing resilience group for parents and carers. Our whole school approach project managed to secure 2 tranches of funding from the Welsh Government via the WCBA for what was called the Boost project, and that ran for the last, from June last year for a year, we've managed to continue finding funding for our whole school project, and that project has supported a huge number of young people in schools and continues to do so. We're now in the bit where we're trying to find funding to continue it for next year, and hoping that we can do that. We've also had young people through the Kickstart scheme, 16 to 25-year-olds, who have come to work with us on placement, learning new skills in Newport Mind. We've got a systems change project, which is a £100,000 18-month project to understand how we can change things for the better in terms of systems around mental health. Our community wellbeing team has managed to develop self-management courses online, so we can send out links to people, filmed courses. We delivered a newsletter to people who were digitally isolated, so we know that not everybody has access to mobile phones, so we did that. Our housing intensive support team have worked in the community throughout the whole period and has had provided additional support in terms of delivering food parcels and going out to people who really needed additional support. Our counselling service has continued. Initially, we lost our funding for our counselling service in March of last year, so we were intending for that to be a paid counselling service, but because the pandemic happened also in March, we kept the counselling as a free service for the first 6 months, but we've now moved over to being paid and low cost, and that is going really well. We've recently introduced a counselling service for children and young people, so that's a new service from us. And our European Union Settlement Scheme team have managed the very difficult task of helping people to settle in the UK and get settled status, which is largely a very difficult thing to do when you can't do it in person. So they've done really well in terms of engaging with people across Wales, running Facebook Live events, working with employers to really get to people who want to stay in this country and to get their status settled to do that. Final little bit from me. And some of you may have seen the news story, the South Wales Argus story. We were very close to securing funding to develop 7 flats on top of our building, which has been a plan we've had planning permission for 5 years now. We were allocated £500,000 by the Welsh Government to do that. We went through the whole process of putting out to tender. Unfortunately, what came back from the tender process was that it was much more expensive than we thought. And we had a way of doing it, but actually the board of directors made a decision that it was far too risky because it involved the organisation going into debt, so we chose not to do that. However, last week we found out that we had been awarded £250,000 to develop the building in a different way, and that money, along with money from our reserves, is going to be used to move our reception to the ground floor, to change our lift and install a new lift, because we have needed a new lift since we bought the building. In fact, probably needed a new lift before we bought the building. So install a new lift, change the orientation of that so it works for new reception, and then we're going to redevelop the whole of the first floor, so the area that is now used for activities, for the singing group and those rooms, and counselling, we're going to upgrade that so that it is really fit for purpose. Hopefully it will be soundproof to an extent. You can never 100% soundproof something, but it would hopefully be better than it currently is. Hopefully the rooms, the spaces will also have decent heating, air conditioning and ventilation, and also windows. So that, as I say, we were informed last week that we had that £250,000 funding. There's always a catch with these things, and the catch for that is that we need to spend that before the end of March next year. So if it looks like we're trying to do things at pace around the building, that's why, it's because we need to spend that money. Hopefully we will engage with people who use the services in some of that work, but the designs have already been shared quite a few times. So that's a quick run through from some of the things we've done. There are so many more other things that Newport Mind has done. So for all the people who have been involved in delivering that, thank you. And the final thing that I'm most thankful for and proud of the staff and volunteers for is that we have year on year still been able to see more people despite the pandemic, delivered more services than we've ever done before, and hopefully we've made more of a difference to more people in that way. So that's just a thank you to everybody involved in that, and thank you to you for turning up tonight, and hopefully you have a great concert. So thank you.
We're now going to get our Mind Choir ready, and I'm sure Laura will tell us as each individual song comes out, and there'll be an opportunity to join in later on. You've got the words on the back of your sheet. I forgot to say when I was up here that after the concert, after we've drawn the raffle, we'll be having some mince pies and schlur just through the double doors. So there's no charge for anything, but we would encourage people to buy raffle tickets or spend at the store if you can, please. Okay? Congratulations to the Mind Choir on keeping going through on Zoom and all sorts of things, so you've done really well. So I'm sure we're going to enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Laura. So, yeah, we did, it has been amazing couple of years, but we won't go into that, but yeah, we've kept going, nonetheless. We normally sing and we pitch up together, but we're distanced, which is difficult, but we're still going to sing for you. And our first song is Ding Dong Merrily. I think we've sung a lot of these songs before at this event, because the familiar felt good. And please join in, but be careful, don't overdo it on the big Gloria section with your mask on, because you need a lot of air. Come up for air every now and again. Around Cardiff, singing on the streets of Newport. We've not done flash mobs this year, it was too much going into the unknown. But this song, everyone seems to identify with. It's a song by Yazoo from the 80s, the early 80s, called Only You. I'm sure you're going to know it. Please join in with the chorus if you know it. We want you all to sing along. Right, we're doing a version more based on the flying pickets, but it's the Mind Choir version. Patrick wrote a shanty. There was a shanty sort of thing going last year, wasn't there? And Patrick wrote, we had a bit of a competition who can write the most shanties, didn't we? So it was going round.
I won.
Patrick won. So we're going to sing. Do you want to say something about it, Patrick?
It's called the Bear Pole Brig. When the old wooden sailing ships were about, if they had their sails down, they were called Bear Pole. And this is about the activity of two pirate ships, because pirate ships like attacking each other as much as anything else. And this is what the song's about.
And it ends in a Christmas verse, so we made it festive for the occasion. But there's a really funny video with lots of the choir members on it that you can find somewhere. Anyway, take it away.
The captain stood with a cup of rum, the crew were laughing, son of a gun. Bearing down on a bare pole brig, down to the bottom we'll go. Hey ho, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Hey ho, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Bearing down we'll have some fun, we didn't see that pirate gun. We are sunken, we are done. down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Don't hand me a line, don't rock the boat. Just dip that towards in the water. Right work done, all hands on deck. Down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Bearing down we'll have some fun. We will see that pirate gun. We are sunk and we are done. Down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, down to the bottom we'll go. Santa stood for the cup of rum. The elves were laughing, sons of a gun. To the chimney for some fun. Down to the bottom we'll go. Hey-oh, lads, 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 down to the bottom we'll go.
Thank you to the choir, that was really lovely. We'll have some more in a while, won't we? I'd like to introduce you to Paul Chambers, who did some work with us a few years ago. I think it was 2018. A book was produced called More Than My Mind, and Paul specialises in haiku. Am I getting that right? Yes. And he'll explain, I'm sure, what that means for those who don't know. And he's going to read some of his own stuff and some of our mind work, I think, as well. So, introducing you now to Paul Chambers. Give him a clap.
Everybody okay? Yeah? Good. So, good evening and thanks for having me. It's really a privilege to be a part of an event like this after what feels like forever. Because I think given what's happening in the world these past few years, events like this that unite us and bring us together are probably, I don't know, more essential now than they have been in human history, I suppose. Because events like this connect us, right? And it's your sense of connection to one another, to the world around us, to nature, and even to ourselves that forms such a critical aspect of what makes us human beings. And so I think that feeling of connection that an event like this inspires is something that needs nurturing and protecting. And in terms of what I'm going to share with you tonight, in terms of the poetry that I'm going to read you, that spirit of connection is something that very much runs through the heart and the philosophy of the kind of material that I'm going to share with you. So as was mentioned, back in 2018, I had the privilege of working with Newport Mind, a few different departments within the service, but primarily the creative writing group. And we worked together on developing words, poetry, prose and photographs that were put together to form this collection of work, More Than My Mind. Copies for this conveniently are on sale out there, so there's a lot of beauty in there if it's something you'd like to read more of once I've shown some of the work. But one of the key poetic forms that we looked at through the varieties of different workshops that we ran as part of that project was a haiku. And it's the haiku from the collection that I'd like to share with you today, because I think there's something of the texture of what we're trying to do and the energy of an event like this that pervades haiku. So for anyone, I'm not going to ask you to show your hands, but anyone that isn't kind of familiar with the haiku form, just to give you a very brief rundown of it. So haiku is a very short poem, it's only 3 lines long, and it originated in Japan, but the way it's been appropriated into English, it takes the form of a very short, simple poem, and by simple I mean that he uses very direct and everyday and unornate language. And the idea is that a poet will share with you a moment or an experience that has caused them to feel something emotionally. And the aim is to then share that moment so that whoever reads the poem, because it's been shared in a way that's pure and simple, it almost becomes a shared experience for the reader. So that idea of connection takes place in haiku almost like a dialogue, like a discourse between the moment that a writer is offered purely to a reader, and then the work that the reader does to complete the poem in their mind and make it a shared experience of their own. So I'm going to read a couple of my own, just to give you hopefully some kind of flavour for a haiku, and then after that self-indulgent bit, I'll read some work from the book. Okay. So here are the first couple from me, and it's tradition in haiku to read each poem twice. So you read one for the head and one for the heart. So that's what I'll do. Pooling in the hollow of a punctured football, spring ring. Pooling in the hollow of a punctured football, spring ring. Magnolia scent, the sunlight in the hairs along my son's ear. Magnolia scent, the sunlight in the hairs along my son's ear. Night bus, a handprint fills with moonlight. Night bus, a handprint fills with moonlight. So those three are my own. Hopefully they give you a feel for what these poems are about. So I'm not going to name the names of the poets behind these next pieces. You have to buy the book to find that out, right? But I'm just going to read through them because they cover, I've picked these because they cover a range of different seasons and a range of different feelings, and hopefully something of the mood or the feeling of these pieces will be something you can take to heart and absorb. Summer sky, slight drizzle on the grass, daffodils blooming. Summer sky, slight drizzle on the grass, daffodils blooming. Kids are playing the clanging of the net as the ball strikes. Kids are playing the clanging of the net as the ball strikes. Autumn chill blows, glistening gold patches highlight leaves on the ground. Autumn chill blows, glistening gold patches highlight leaves on the ground. Faces reflecting nature shine green bathing. Faces reflecting nature shine green bathing. The noise of children having fun whilst a baby in a pram lies still in the cool shade. The noise of children having fun whilst a baby in a pram lies still in the cool shade. Autumn evening, I pinch an apple from the tree. Autumn evening, I pinch an apple from the tree. And finally, falling snow, meditation on the mat, a lovely cuppa. Falling snow, meditation on the mat, a lovely cuppa. I like that poem. So that's a series of poems that you'll find dotted throughout the book if it's something of interest to you. And I'm just going to end on a longer piece that you'll also find in the book. So this isn't a haiku, this is a more traditional verse form. But I picked this just to finish this for this segment of reading because I think it just sums up and encapsulates the kind of things that we treasure most that has been revealed to us through the kind of disconnect and the loneliness and the feelings that the various lockdowns and pandemics have caused us all to feel. So this is a longer poem. I'm just going to read this once, and it's called A Person Amongst People. Sometimes it's just nice to be a person amongst people, in their laughter and their pains, their windfalls and their gains, in that bubble we call life. Sometimes it's nice just to be a person amongst people, that hubbub of trouble and strife. They move their mouths and shake a hand in that muddle we call life. Sometimes it's just nice to be a person amongst people. In that mall they dance and prance, They never crash or make a noise, nor take a touch in that huddle we call life. Sometimes it's just nice to be a person amongst people. In a room they sit, quite nice, with thinly tapping shoes. They hear with listening quiet voices, making up their own sweet choices in the cuddle we call life. Sometimes it's just nice to be a person amongst people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So thank you again to Paul, that was really lovely, taking us through the seasons. That was enjoyable, thank you, and very calm. Are we going to say hello to our choir again? I think you have 2 songs for us now, is it? And then it's our turn to join in.
Yeah, we've got 2 songs, but 1 or 2, yeah. Sorry, I'll explain.
Yeah, Laura will explain, but don't give it all your voice now, because we've got some songs to join in with in a minute.
I'm just not sure everyone could hear me from before, so I'll use the microphone. Yeah, thank you very much. It's really so lovely to be here. You can't imagine what it means to us to be here performing. And it's like exactly as Paul said, to have these moments where we can all be together. It's what we're all about, and we just crave it. So it'll just make us feel really great to have you as a gorgeous audience. We're going to sing, the first song we're going to sing is Yuletide is Here, which is a song that the choir recently wrote. We like writing songs. It's such a great, fun thing to do, actually. And it's amazing how creative the choir are. So I hope you're going to enjoy this song. There's lots of fa-la-las in it as well, so you can join in with the fa-la-las if you'd like.
One foggy night, Christmas snow, the air was crisp, the moon did glow. I sang the hymns of distant bells, Yuletide is here, and my heart swells.
three ships, and we're starting with a little chant that was written, and you can all join in with on Christmas Day, and on Christmas Day in the morning. It comes around quite quick, so watch out and join in. It'll be really good. And it starts with a chant, three ships on the horizon. So I saw three ships is 17th century, a song from 17th century, traditional.
Three ships on the horizon, guided by the lights. Three ships sailing to harbor, such a warm inside. I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. I saw three ships come sailing in on Christmas Day in the morning. And what was in those ships all three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day? Our Saviour Christ and His Lady on Christmas Day in the morning. Bring with the sail of those ships all three on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. All they sailed to Bethlehem on Christmas Day in the morning. Three ships on the horizon, guided by the lights. Three ships sailing to harbor, such a rolling sight. And all the bells on earth shall ring on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And all the angels in heaven shall sing on Christmas Day in the morning. And all the souls on earth shall sing on Christmas Day, on Christmas Day. And let us all rejoice and live on Christmas Day in the morning. Three ships on the horizon, guided by the lights. Three ships sailing to harbor, such a warm sight. Three ships on the horizon, guided by the lights. Three ships sailing to harbor, such a warm sight.
We're sneaking a very quick other one in, and it's the 12 Days of Christmas, because Jackie has done some pictures for us, and this is your first one to join in with. So we'll shout out, you'll get a guide of a picture to come in with the 12 Days of Christmas. So the first one, but please feel free to do signs for a partridge. What's a pear tree? Do you want to do the pear tree or the partridge? Any bird actions or anything like that?
So on the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me a partridge in a pear tree. On the second day of Christmas, my true love
Two turtle doves.
two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
Three French hens.
On the third day of Christmas, my true love sent to me three French hens, two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
What a
On
big
the fourth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me four golden birds, three French hens, two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
five golden.
On the fifth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me five gold rings, four golden birds, three French hens, two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
Six geese a lane.
On the sixth day of Christmas, my true love sent to me six geese a laying, five gold rings, four golden birds, three French hens, two turtle doves and a partridge in a pear tree.
Seven swans a swim.
On the seventh day of Christmas, my true love sent to me seven swans a swimming, six geese a laying, five gold rings, four golden birds, three French hens, two turtle doves and a partridge three French hens flew to the one and a partridge in a pear tree. 9 ladies dancing on the 9th day of Christmas, my true love said to me. 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold-rings, 4 barley birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtles, and a partridge in a pear tree. 10 on the 10th day of Christmas, my true love said to me. 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold-rings, 4 barley birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtles, and a partridge in a pear tree. On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love said to me. 11 pipers piping, 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold-rings, 4 barley birds, 3 French hens, 2 little birds, and a partridge in a pear tree. Again, there. On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love said to me. 12 drummers drumming, 11 pipers piping, 10 lords a leaping, 9 ladies dancing, 8 maids a milking, 7 swans a swimming, 6 geese a laying, 5 gold-rings, 4 barley birds, 3 French hens, 2 turtles, and a partridge in a pear tree. One more time,
Which one do you want to do first? Winter Wonderland? I think we do Winter Wonderland first. So everyone got you probably know it anyway. I think there's some bells around somewhere. There's some bell players somewhere. So sleigh bells, where are those sleigh bells? There we are. So,
I want 2, 3, sleigh bells ring, I am listening, in the lane, snow is glistening, a beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Going away is a new way, if we stay is a new bird. Sing our song as we go along, walking in a winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, and pretend that he is fast and grown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man," but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the dash that we made, walking in the winter wonderland. In the meadow we can build a snowman, then pretend that he is fast and grown. He'll say, "Are you married?" We'll say, "No, man," but you can do the job when you're in town. Later on, we'll conspire as we dream by the fire. Face unafraid the dash that we made, walking in a winter wonderland. Walking in a winter wonderland. Last one, slow down. Walking in a winter wonderland.
Merry Christmas. Has anyone escaped not singing this one so far this year? It's one of those you'll probably sing a lot, won't you? So we'll have this on the all Christmas music. This is the sleigh song. So this is the song by Sleigh. Has everyone got it? It's on the tin. It's paper next on the tin. Yeah, it's on a piece of paper. Everyone should. You probably all know it anyway, because you've sung it Christmas after Christmas. So, I want two, three.
Hanging out the stockings on the wall. la